Hey, welcome to our new Stair Chats podcast, where we chat on chairs, not stairs. We're Tom31.
My name's Aaron.
I'm Sarah. And I'm Amy.
Today we're going to look at the theme of stewardship, and you guys asked some pretty class questions, so we're really looking forward to discussing those later. But for now, let's find out what everyone's been up to this past week. So, guys, how's your week been?
My week's been grand. I've been doing more weeding out the front of the garden. So pulling up those weeds, getting rid of the moss, with my wee butter knife. But
Classic.
It's going strong.
Nice, good job.
Are you more effective with more practice?
Yes, I now have a knack of it. So I just sit on the pillow and then I just work my way around in a circle instead of trying to do it in a line.
Interesting.
There's a lot of lines to do.
There are so many lines. It doesn't I'm sort of getting there, but it feels like a long journey that I need to go on.
Mm-hmm. I've kind of rediscovered the things that I used to love doing this week. So I did a wee bit of baking. I made some cinnamon roll biscuits, which actually turned out quite nice. Mm-hmm. And I put a bit of coffee icing on them, which meant that Sarah didn't really enjoy them, but
yeah,
I loved coffee icing, so that was my highlight probably. I did a bit of watercolour painting, which I haven't done in ages. But watercolour is really difficult because the water just goes everywhere. And if you move your page at all, it just drips right off and it just ruins the painting. So there's a real knack to it. I think it's harder than other kinds of painting.
Nice. I mean, this week I haven't really done a huge amount. I started a new series on Disney Plus. I started Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's not I know it's not a new series, but I am new to it. Yeah. So yeah, have been enjoying that so far. Nearly finished season 1 of it. 4 more seasons to go. 22, I want to say. Yes, they're only 40 minutes long each, so
only 40 minutes.
It's not that bad.
What's 22 times 40?
I don't know. I'm not finished season 1 yet. I will be by tomorrow.
880 minutes, I think that is. That's quite impressive.
That is very impressive.
I've done a lot of Sudoku puzzles this week, which I didn't realize there's a whole world of Sudoku. I don't know if you guys are into Sudoku, but
I am not.
Not really, but my family are.
Oh, fair. There's a whole world of it. So there's things called sandwich Sudoku, which I just started last night. It's just very specific and mathsy, where you have to have a certain amount of numbers in between the 1 and the 9. It's just real complicated rules, and it's just beautiful logic whenever you're working through it. It's actually I watch people do really tough ones, and it's just beautiful to watch. It's great. There's chess Sudoku as well, and palindrome Sudoku.
I can say that I wouldn't understand any of it, but I'm glad that you do.
I feel like I would enjoy it, but I would need to be in the mood to do it. Yeah. I'm more in a crafting mood this season.
Have you made anything else, Sarah?
I made an origami peacock, but for the kids craft, so I really enjoy making them. But I made a snake from a wee toilet tube.
It was impressive.
It's so cute.
There's currently one of them wrapped around the banister on the stairs.
I think of all the crafts, it could be the cutest one.
It took a fierce time to colour in.
It really did.
See, when I was editing that,
long time.
I sped it up to I think over 10,000%.
It was intense.
I was like, japers, this took a while, but it was worth it in the end. Probably just easier to paint it though.
Yeah, but then the toilet tube would then get sort of
soggy.
Yeah,
soggy.
And then when you were cutting it, it would lose the spiral shape. So then you had to make it back into the spiral. It was meant to be that.
It's a whole process.
It really is.
Big process, this.
Did a lot of Zoom calls this week as well. I tend to have random weeks where I'm zooming every night. But
zoom.
Zoom. If anyone can find when I said zoom in the live streams, we'll give you a prize.
Please go and find it.
It's one of the best things that
honestly,
you've said.
That's a wee bonus challenge for this week. If you can find out where Amy said zoom, we will somehow figure out a prize to give you and send to you.
Yes.
Honestly, I think if you I'm being serious. I'm committing to that. I will send you a prize.
Okay.
Amy will send you a prize.
We will disinfect it first.
100%.
But it's one of those, those friend groups that you can go deep with. You can talk, there's no warm up conversation. You're just going straight to deep. had like one of those kind of Zoom calls, and it was just really,
Yeah.
really nice to connect with an old group that haven't chatted to in quite a while.
Nice.
That's good. Yeah.
So, guys, have you got any random facts this week?
I do.
I also do. I've actually got two, so
What
will I
is
do
it?
one now and then let you guys go, and then do my mind-blowing one?
Yes.
Yeah, go on then.
So my first one's just a wee bit of crack. So in Australia, there was an episode of Peppa Pig that was banned because it taught children to not be scared of spiders. So right, there's this episode where Peppa clearly has a spider or something, but in
Right.
Australia,
Yeah,
you want to be careful of the spiders. Like, you don't want to
really
be
do.
going and playing with them. So this episode got banned in case it taught kids to go and play with spiders.
You know, that's fair enough, though. Like, I would, if I was an
I mean, that is
Australian,
fair enough.
I would not want my child to be bitten by a spider.
I thought it was fairly justified, but I do appreciate the episode for over here. Maybe I should watch it.
Maybe you
Try and
should.
get over my fear. Check out our Faith Over Fear podcast. Talk a wee bit about my arachnophobia.
So I have a wee fact about a platypus.
Ooh.
I really love platypus. I giggle every
Is there
single
a
time I
plural
see
for
one.
platypus?
Is it a platypi?
I
Is it
think it is.
platypi?
I think so.
I don't know.
Tell us about the platypi, Sarah.
Well, they don't have stomachs. So their
What?
esophagus, so their throat, just goes straight into their intestines.
That is
Cut out
quite
the
interesting,
middleman.
you know.
Just cut them out.
Cut out
Yeah.
the middleman, make it more efficient.
You knew that stomach was just slowing them down.
Fair enough.
Would you be
weighing
less...
them down.
Now picture this on a human. Would you be less hungry?
Yes.
Because it's just going straight from the throat to the intestines.
That's how it works, isn't it?
Remember you've got this whole like path in the middle, don't you?
Well, yeah.
Like, you physically
The-
couldn't eat as much.
I mean, you couldn't, but in the stomach, it has acid to break down the food that we eat.
Oh, you'd
So
have to have
maybe
liquids.
if we had the same diet as a platypus and we could survive off that diet.
What do platypus eat?
You know what? I'm not sure. Grass? Maybe?
Well, it mustn't be anything chunky. Like, I don't think they can handle a pizza.
Well, yeah. But, like, if it's grass, then surely they should have the same amount of stomachs as a cow. A cow has a lot of stomachs.
Apparently,
Whereas a platypus has none.
I read this fact when I was looking for an interesting fact. Cows have one stomach, but it's broken into 4 chambers.
I've heard this, but I've always just said they had 4 stomachs, so now I would know how to correct
I'm
myself.
not going to lie. I thought it was
Absolutely.
7, not 4, but
Wow.
I don't know why.
Something has 7 somethings.
Definitely.
That was such a vague statement, but there's
Yeah.
there's some sort of
Is it
animal
like
fact.
an octopus or something has like 7 brains or something, or 7 hearts?
I wouldn't. Oh, I think it could be that actually.
It might be something like that, but don't quote me because I
Maybe
might
we'll
be
confirm
wrong.
that fact for next week's podcast.
Yeah. Well, I also have a couple of interesting facts, but one of them is that no number before 1,000 contains the letter A.
That is quite impressive.
I
That is
I
quite
like
impressive.
I tried to go through in my head and think of any number
Yeah.
that contained the letter A.
Could you find one?
No,
Wow.
not before 1,000.
Do you know what? There used to be this challenge that I used to do with my friends, and I would say to them as a wee trick, I'd be like, you need to say within a minute. Your challenge is to say 100 words that don't contain the letter A, and they'd be working their brain trying to figure out 100 words, and then I just count to 100 in a minute, and I won like little prizes. We do like a wee battle.
Right.
That is quite fast to count to 100 in
It
a
is.
minute.
We just have to get less than, like, you don't even have to get 2 per second.
Fair.
It's quite manageable.
Yeah. Do you want to know my other fact?
I would.
So, I don't know how true this is, but apparently firefighters use wetting agents to make water wetter.
I read the same fact.
Did you?
Oh,
Is that the same really interesting fact?
Well, no, so
Oh.
I went to a different website because I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like this is the one that they're going to be reading from. But my dad trained in firefighting.
Can you ask him, is this true?
I will ask him, actually.
Because I actually would really love to know.
I think I might text him now and see if he replies by the end of the podcast.
Good plan.
I remember watching this wee program, and it was about the wee fire jets and like the water coming out of it.
The hose?
The hose, yeah. And that in one way they made it so that it was just like a wee continuous flow instead of, because usually if you spray water it like flies everywhere.
Yeah. Did they like just pressurize it or something?
I'm not gonna lie, it was quite a while ago. I can't
Mm.
remember how they did it.
Well,
I think we probably have time for one more fact. Do you know what? This one blew my mind. Right. Picture Marilyn Monroe. She's kind of like,
right.
she's kind of depicted as like the classic dumb blonde,
Mm-hmm.
but she has a higher IQ than Albert Einstein.
Oh.
Albert Einstein has an
Wow.
IQ of 160. I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. And now I couldn't find... No one has denied this fact. It's more just likely. But they reckon she has an IQ of between 163 and 168, which is incredibly impressive. Anything over 135, I think, is madly impressive.
Well,
So imagine having a higher IQ than Albert Einstein, but being put down in history as like a classic dumb blonde.
you'd be a wee bit raging, like.
You would. This is why I thought I should say it on the podcast to justify it.
You can't. Yeah, you kind of would be a wee
To
bit
rewrite
raging, like.
her history.
I know, like all those flipping stereotypes that people make.
True.
Not good.
Then it would be like a wee surprise. So like Kinder Surprise. You just open it up and see if it's like
But the problem is that
such
if
a
you
good
never open the
surprise.
Kinder Surprise, you'll never know.
This is
You
true.
just assume. You know.
But to be fair, maybe she preferred singing over being
Mm.
smart.
That's true.
Did she do a bit of acting as well?
I don't know, but
I thought she was known for acting.
Dunno.
I couldn't remember. Anyway, with that, I think we'll move on to our next section called Ring. And in case you've missed the previous episodes of the podcast, Ring is the segment where we get our phone and we call someone random from the Methodist Church and we ask them a few questions, have a wee chat. So last time we rang the wonderful Jodie Walker from Tom 30, and this week we're going to be ringing Paula Locke from Soulmates Committee. Over to you, Sarah.
Okay, let's see if she picks up. Let us see.
Hello?
Hey Paula, it's Sarah from Tom Team and you're a surprise guest on our podcast this week.
Oh my days. Hello. How's it going?
I'm going swell. So, would you rather eat a full packet of dry spaghetti or eat 2 cups of uncooked rice?
Probably the spaghetti, because I've tried that before and it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I think I would do the same. So, how's your day been?
It's been good. I'm currently working. Yeah, I finish at probably like 4 o'clock and I cannot wait because I am starving, so I'm going to go get some fruit.
Ooh, fruit?
Yeah, I know. I bought loads of fruit in Tesco the other day and I'm really excited about it.
What type of fruit?
So I've got blueberries, I've got
Ooh.
raspberries,
Ooh,
I've got
here.
strawberries, I've got kiwi, and I've got banana.
That's a wide range.
That's a fruit salad.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know. I mean, feel free to make a fruit salad with those suggestions if you want to. I do not mind at all.
I probably will. So what cartoon do you wish that you could live in for a week and why?
Oh my days. Gosh, this is difficult. Maybe like Kim Possible, like, you know, the old school Kim Possible back in the early 2000s. Because I think it would be really fun to run about and be on missions and never get hurt, and also have a naked mole rat.
Oh wow. Yeah, that sounds class. So if you could switch the noises two animals make, what animals would it be?
What?
So an example is an elephant and a giraffe. So
Okay.
a wee giraffe would be making the noise of an elephant. But what two
Oh,
animals would you
okay.
swap?
Gosh, this is difficult. I think I would change the noise of a regular, like, sparrow that you have outside your house and a lion, because I think that would be terrifying, but also hilarious.
That would be class. I'd be living for that. So, do you have any words of wisdoms for us before we hang up?
Gosh, way to put me on the spot.
I know,
I
sorry,
suppose
Paula.
That's the whole point. I don't know. I suppose just enjoy the small things that you're doing every single day, because
Yeah.
those are good things to enjoy.
Yeah, that's class. Okay, thank you so much for being our guest.
I mean, I didn't have a choice. But
Thanks for not hanging up.
No problem.
Okay, bye.
Alright. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Before we move on, I'm just going to give a wee update on our facts. I texted Dad, do firefighters use wetting agents to make water wetter?
And do they?
And he just replied, no, full stop.
Oh,
I wonder, was that fact maybe American? Because you know the way that American people sometimes do things differently than over here.
But then Dad said they only ever mix in something to make foam to smother some fires.
That's maybe what they were talking about.
There
Like,
is some mixing ideas, but I feel like he's just laughing at me now because I said that fact.
that could be true.
yeah. So earlier we mentioned that our theme for this week's podcast is stewardship, and so a while ago we asked you guys what questions you have around this topic, and so we thought we could answer a few of those questions as well as sharing our own experiences of stewardship. So guys, what would your definition of stewardship be, and how have you experienced it or carried it out?
Right, so I think it's important that we talk about what stewardship is, because it's one of those titles that I think is a little bit niche, but shouldn't be niche. So some people's only experience might be like Autumn Soul or Soulmates being a steward,
Yeah.
which you should all do. It's great crack. But basically, what I boiled it down to was the responsibility that comes with living as a Christian.
Yeah.
Do you think that makes sense?
I agree. Yeah.
So, for example, if we look at the Psalms, the start of Psalm 24 says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it." So basically, God owns everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's God, right?
Yeah.
We are simply managers and stewards acting on his behalf.
Yeah.
And I heard a quote that said, "A steward lives for the day he will return the master's goods to him." So this reminds us that there's kind of an end to what we're doing, and it gives us motivation. So earth belongs to God, and we just have to do the best that we can while we're living in it.
Yeah. Like I found a definition by a guy called Charles Bugg, who defined it as utilizing and managing all resources God provides for the glory of God and the betterment of his creation.
Ooh, yeah.
Which I thought was actually like probably a really good way to describe it, actually, which is probably why he published that as a definition. But and really, like, as I was looking at this topic, like in preparation for it, I sort of came across that there were 4 main principles that go along with it. And so the first one is the principle of ownership, which is the fact that we need to understand that everything in this world belongs to God and not us.
Yeah. So we're like custodians of it.
Yeah. So, because in Deuteronomy 8:18, it says, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth." So we have to take care of what God's given us, and God's given us the abilities to make more out of what he's already given us as well. Part 2 is the principle of responsibility, which is the fact that God has trusted us with these things and with the care and development and enjoyment of everything that he's provided. So we have to be responsible to manage them according to what he wants and what his will is.
Yeah.
The third is the principle of accountability, which is we're all stewards of these resources, abilities and opportunities that God has given into our care. And so just like Amy was saying, in the parable of the talents, which is found in Matthew 25, we will be called one day to give an account of how we managed those things. Like, did we just protect those things, or like to stop them decreasing or increasing, or did we actually use them to gain more of those things?
Yeah.
And the final one was that at the end of the day, we should all want to hear those sort of famous words that come from Matthew 25, verse 21, and it says, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." So really, that is what the principle of reward is. But that's kind of what the 4 points that I found stewardship to be.
Class. And I think there's a bit of our purpose that lies in this. So even if we take it back to the beginning, like literally right at the start, Genesis 1 and 2, Adam and Eve are created, and their main purpose is 1, to be in relationship with God and really know him, and 2, to be in charge of and look after the world. So this speaks a lot of purpose about God's intentions for mankind pre-fall of Genesis 3 and the whole sin thing. And the Hebrew word in that chapter originally doesn't mean to be authoritarian over the earth, but to exercise skilled mastery with respect. So it's exactly what you're talking about, Aaron. And I think when I was thinking about stewardship for myself, I thought about mindset, action, and lifestyle. So mindset, understanding is key, which is exactly what Aaron just talked about. Knowing the reason why we do stewardship. Then we've got action, so start to act on this mindset. Make little changes to your lifestyle that can make you a better steward, which we get to talk about a little bit later on, practically. So this will prompt you to pick up that stray chocolate bar wrapper because God made the planet. It'll encourage you to share articles about social justice because that's helping looking after the world. Again, we'll be given some more in-depth examples later on. And it takes 66 days to build a habit. I was reading, that's another fun fact for us.
That is
So
fun.
make stewardship your lifestyle. Build these little habits. And I think one of the main directions we can kind of go with stewardship is the environmental angle. So do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I have one of my good friends is really a steward for the environment, and she's such an inspiration to me because through everything that she does, she strives to try and improve the environment in any way that she can.
Yeah.
So I sort of asked her to see what her thoughts were, and she said that Romans 12:1-2, especially in the Message translation, was really quite helpful for her. And it says, "So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering." And it goes on, you can look it up. And it says that, she says, how we worship and glorify God is so much more than singing hymns, reading the Bible and praying. But obviously these are essential for the outworking of our faith. But we can do practically so much more to save the environment and actually look after what God has given us to actually look after it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And also looking after the environment is looking after others. So there's this verse in Ezekiel. It's chapter 34, verse 18. And there's this image of like destroying what you don't use, therefore no one can have it. So it's just messing with the earth, basically.
Yeah.
And we cannot love our neighbour when our actions are having detrimental effects on their lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So not taking care of the environment it's not a personal issue. It affects the community. It affects people across the other side of the world that you have no idea about.
Yeah. I suppose like one way that I've experienced stewardship and that I like to carry stewardship out is actually because God provides us with so many opportunities, I like to try and not pass those up. I like it doesn't it's maybe not what your first thought of stewardship would be, but actually just trying to jump at every opportunity that God's given me, and so not wasting those, because I know that I can use the resources that he's given me to
absolutely.
help increase his kingdom here.
Yeah, exactly. An angle I was really drawn to is the using your gifts angle, which is exactly what you just talked about. And there's that whole broader idea of stewardship in the story that you mentioned in Matthew 25. In case you guys don't know the story, I'm going to sum it up in like 3 sentences. So a master gives some of his money to 3 servants or stewards and tells them they can do whatever they like with it, and the master is going to check on what they've done when he gets back. So the story goes on, and when the master gets back, they tell their stories. Steward 1 got 5 bags of gold and went and gained 5 more by working for it. Steward 2 had 2 bags of gold and went and gained 2 more by working for it. Now Steward 3 got 1 bag, and he went off and dug a hole and buried it because he was so afraid of losing it. So he did nothing. Now the master's reaction is what is key here, because that's what teaches us this lesson. So basically he is raging because the steward hasn't been intentional with what he was given. And the kind of moral of the story that Jesus was trying to get across is that we need to use our God-given gifts in the service of God, just like Aaron said, and to take risks for the sake of the kingdom of God. These gifts are often seen to be our personal gifts and talents. Think about the way that God created you, what you love doing, what it is that just gets you excited and gets you going. And God is creative and made us to be in his image and therefore creative.
Yeah.
So there's no one way to use your gifts as a steward, and in the age we live in, there's really so many opportunities for that. And as Aaron was saying, just grab those opportunities by the horn.
Yeah, I think as well as taking the opportunities that God gives us, we can all work together. So we all have unique talents which are different to everyone else's. Just imagine what we could all do together. It'd be so much more than what we could do just alone.
It's kind of like, it's like a beautiful, like, I'm picturing like a mosaic where like everyone puts in their little pieces and it creates this beautiful image. Like that's just what came to mind there as you were talking.
Yeah.
I
And the thing is, like, there's definitely ways like to find like out how you can be a steward in regards to things that you're really interested in. So like Sarah's friend is really interested in the environment and looking after it. So definitely like look into that as well.
Oh yeah, like God has given you things to work with. You can sit back and do nothing for your life if you wanted, but that wouldn't be a living and that wouldn't be stewardship. And as I was researching this, I had a wee thought. So this leads into my final angle that I kind of thought about. So if stewardship is looking after what originally comes from God, we have nature, we have the gifts that we use, but also humans are God's masterpiece. That's what Ephesians teaches us.
Yeah.
We are his handiwork. So technically being a good steward means caring for people too. And especially in this season, like this season is rough for people. So it's so key to be like checking in on your friends, checking in on your family. And even like a simple, like, how are you today?
Yeah.
Goes a really, really long way. Could mean a lot to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think that's part of stewardship too. Class. So one of the questions that we got is stewardship different for each person? As in how they live a Christian life or use their gifts? That's a good question. I think we've touched on it a wee bit, but I'm sure we've got more.
I would say yes, because we all have different talents. So my friend's really into like being a steward for the environment, and then I enjoy helping people, so I'd be making sure that they're okay. And I just think that we can all just use the gifts together and just come in and be able to just steward for the world so much more than what we could alone.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, I would definitely say that stewardship can look so different for each person. Like I know that there are people who carry out stewardship physically by looking after the earth, like Sarah's friend, by trying to produce as little rubbish as possible.
Yeah.
Or by picking rubbish up that they see on the street. But I also know that there are people who carry out stewardship by looking after each other, and so maybe that's just through checking up on people every day, especially like Amy was saying, in this kind of rough time. Or maybe it's just that it's through doing random acts of kindness as well. Like that can be another way that to show stewardship.
Do you know what? There's certain things in stewardship that are common to everyone. So the understanding that everything comes from God. There's certain things that we all need to do in reaction to that. So say, for example, with the environmental stuff, everyone has to be doing that kind of thing. Yeah. Everyone has to be kind of pulling their weight and doing those practical things. Yeah. That I'll probably mention in the next question that we got. But with the parable of the talents, each of those stewards did different things. I imagine the guy who had 5 bags of gold went off and did one thing. The guy who had 2 bags of gold went off and did something else that was really unique to them and really suited their gift.
I think so too, I agree.
It didn't seem to matter the difference in the amount of money that they were all given. Like the two of them went off, like even though they had completely different amounts of money or completely different giftings, and both used it. So yeah, like really just use what you have.
So the key is just to use it.
Yeah, and it'll all like work out for the good. So yeah, like even though you and your friend may not have the same stewarding preferences, they can all work out for the same amount of good. So don't be stressing yourself or comparing yourself.
Totally. Yeah. And sometimes your gifts will be similar to other people, but you can use them for a unique purpose and steward your abilities the best that you can. Yeah. And also a side note on gifting, there's a difference between humility and hiding your gifts. It's important to be humble, and stewardship in itself is humble, but in admitting that every good thing comes from God. But don't hide your gifts under a rock. Use them for God. And this is the beauty of the church as the body of Christ. Just like Sarah said earlier, everyone doing their part, and it's just this beautiful mosaic. I realise we're going on a wee bit with this episode, but I think it's very important to be looking at what we're looking at.
So another question we got was, what ways can I carry out stewardship?
I mean, as we've already said, there's so many different ways that you can be a steward, and it's going to be different for most people. But I suppose some of the ones that I came across while researching it are things like discipleship. So actually getting to share God's word with people and helping them grow in their journey of faith, as well as mission, which is like actually going out and finding those people who don't know God yet and getting to talk to them about him. Environmental as well, and even things like generosity and lifestyle. Those are just great examples of stewardship, but they might not be exactly what you go for, and that's okay, because we all do use different things. But definitely, if you've got like questions about it, like text your minister or like
definitely
your youth worker or youth leader.
So as I said earlier, there was kind of 3 angles that I was looking, 3 lenses I was looking at this through. So love the earth, use your gifts, and love others. So let me quickly give some practical advice, because I think that's just as important as learning about it.
Yeah, definitely.
So love the earth, right. By the time this episode comes out, it's been exactly 1 week since Earth Day. So I think that's actually quite good timing for us to be doing this podcast.
That is rather good.
So for Love the Earth, make it part of our conversation. Don't have this as a out there topic. Have climate change, have environmental impact as part of our conversations. Make it a normal thing we discuss.
Exactly,
so
I
we
agree.
normally act on it then.
Mm-hmm.
Practically don't waste food and be aware of how it's traded.
Yeah.
Maybe try using local produce, less travel costs, and a smaller carbon footprint.
Yeah.
Also recycle. I have no more words for that one, just recycle. And look up how it's done in your area as well.
Yeah.
And then repair things as opposed to buying more. I think that's quite a good idea. So
That is a good idea.
often we just waste a lot of stuff because we can't be bothered to repair it. But it would save you money and save you emissions. The world today kind of seems to be quite like take, money. But actually this has a really negative impact on our earth. And as they say, there is no planet B. And this is God's creation. And with loving the earth, we have to respect that. So then with the lens of using your gifts, for me, I look for opportunities, just like Aaron was saying. In my own life, I know what I enjoy doing, and I can look at opportunities that brings. So for example, with art, I draw out verses and post them, do some prophetic art. With drums, I play at church. You could even, if you're playing an instrument, you can record Christian songs and put them out there. And with creativity, I've kind of been trying to get into filmmaking a wee bit. I mentioned that in the live stream. So you can tell a story through filmmaking to encourage the church. And pretty much all of those examples of using your gifts are about building up the church and encouraging one another. And with love others, it's pretty self-explanatory. Check in on your friends during this season and live every day and do one thing every day that puts someone else before you. That'll be my challenge for you.
Great. So I'm just going to pray here before we move on. Dear God, thank you that you have appointed us all as stewards of your earth, God. And thank you that we can be stewards in so many different ways. God, we ask that you would help us this week especially, just to be more aware of all of that and to just be good stewards, to represent you and to look after your earth. Amen.
Amen. So as we've done in previous episodes of the podcast, each week we are going to set you a challenge. And we want you to take a photo and simply upload it to your Instagram story and tag us at Team on Mission.
Our challenge for this week is to take the best and most creative mirror selfie as you can. So get the props out, get your funky hats out, and once you've taken the photo, upload it to your Instagram story and tag us at Team on Mission. We can't wait to see how your mirror selfies turn out.
But that's all we've got time for today. So we hope you had a good time just like we did, and I hope you learnt a bit at least about stewardship. And don't forget to keep an eye on our social media at Team on Mission on Instagram and Team on Mission 31 on Facebook. And tune in to our sort of youth session live stream this Sunday night at 7 p.m. over on the IMYC Facebook and Instagram page. Bye.
Bye.